Crazy things are happening in crypto. Matter of fact, one thing just happened. I've just been leaning on my forehead. Can you see? Anyway, one thing just happened that really made me take my hat off. So if you're not done yet, make sure you press that like button and let's not beat around the bush. Let's dive right in because it's pretty crazy for crypto. And it's crazy. I just recorded an entire video talking about all the crazy shenanigans going on in crypto and some things you should be fearful of. And I'll still release it in probably like 2 hours from now. But please, oh no. So what has just happened about 59 minutes ago, because, well, I was kind of face palming for a little bit, taking in a couple of other articles, seeing if what I was reading was right and exactly what other people thought about it. Because if I just have a news story, very often it doesn't mean that much until you know how the general populi kind of takes it in. Anyway, something massive just happened, even though many people don't realize it yet. And I'm probably one of the first to cover it. So today, Uniswap, which is the most popular swap article. If you've ever done anything crypto, there's a 98% chance you have seen Uniswap come by. Because if you don't want to go via a centralized exchange like Bybit, like Coinbase, like Binance, you're going to quickly end up at either Uniswap or PancakeSwap or... I'm not surprised, just annoyed, disappointed, and ready to motherfreaking fight. And I tells you, this is what peak performance looks like. Jokes aside, I'm confident that the products we offer are legal and that our work is on the right side of history. But it's been clear for a while that rather than working to create clear, informed rules, this is really reminding me of the Coinbase lawsuit. The SEC has decided to focus on attacking longtime good actors like Uniswap and Coinbase, yes. All while letting bad actors like FTX slip by. And the funniest thing is that it's really kind of true. I mean, Gary Gensler and FTX's motherfreaking Sam Bankman-Fried were pretty good pals, or at least his family was. So they let that guy slide. And we're not going to let that slide, that they let him slide. When I first set out to build Uniswap, the goal wasn't to reimagine finance. It was an experiment in radically decentralized, fully automated on-chain markets. I did not know it would work or if anyone would ever actually use it. Fast forward to today, the Uniswap protocol has processed over $2 trillion in volume. Many thousands of teams and developers have forked our code or built on top of it. We built entirely new financial infrastructure that is transparent, fair, secure, and accessible, powering an entire industry. The team at Uniswap did all of this in the US from our office in New York City, which I actually did not know. Matter of fact, I'm actually quite surprised they had the underlying weight right there to operate from freaking New York. I'm not saying the US, because the US is a couple of okay states, but New York out of everything, you can't use coins, you can't use nothing in New York, I believe, right? Or did that get changed recently? Because I remember New York used to be one of the worst states to do anything crypto in. Correct me if I am wrong. People often ask me, why? Why the US? Why torture yourself? And my answer is simple. I believe the blockchain is incredibly powerful tech, like the internet, and it's here to stay. So someone needs to figure it out, and it might as well be us. This is kind of the Ripple approach, and it's funny how much I know about crypto lawsuits now, because obviously I've spent well over 2,000, I'm going to say at least 1,000 hours, perhaps more, looking into crypto lawsuits, because I made hundreds of videos about crypto lawsuits by now over the past years. Isn't it crazy that the Ripple lawsuit started in 2020 and we've covered it since the start? And obviously since we're in 2024 now, it's just been years of that lawsuit on its own. And then so many lawsuits have come and spun off afterwards. Anyway, and that when you build a technology that improves people's lives, you don't need to hide. The SEC's mission, quote, protecting investors, maintaining fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitating capital formation, end quote. This is a noble mission, and I would argue Uniswap does a far better job of this today than the SEC, which is a nice little job, but they've got a good point. Yes, I'm frustrated that the SEC seems to be more concerned with protecting opaque systems than protecting the actual consumers, like in the Ripple case, and that we'll have to fight a US government agency to protect our company, our industry. This fight will take years, may go down all the way to the Supreme Court, and the future of financial tech and our industry hangs in the balance. If we stand together, we can win. I think freedom is worth fighting for. I think DeFi is worth fighting for. And of course, we won't stop shipping. Stay tuned. More legal details, including why the SEC has not acted in good faith and why we're going to win, from their chief legal officer, and the full statement here below. So let's quickly see the full statement. Today, Uniswap Labs received the Wells notice from the SEC and we're ready to fight. This is the latest political effort to target even the best actors in crypto like Uniswap and Coinbase. All Uniswap products in the Uniswap protocol are unaffected though, so you can still use everything. There's not really an issue there. We are confident that the products we offer are not just legal, they're transformative, empowering people across the world by enabling transparent, verifiable markets with fewer gatekeepers, enabling cheap, accessible global economic participation. And despite the SEC's rhetoric that most tokens are securities, the reality is that tokens are just a digital file format. The vast majority of tokens traded on Uniswap are definitely not securities, just like most paper is not stock certificates. They're stablecoins, community tokens, and all commodities like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Unisocks. Nice. Tokens traded on secondary markets like Uniswap are not investment contracts, and the and Uniswap protocol itself is a decentralized, autonomous set of smart contracts that run without any organization, individual, or entity behind them, not a securities exchange. Which this is going to be such an interesting point, because indeed, who can you really blame if it's a decentralized entity? That was the issue with Bitcoin, and if you think about it, how can it be a securities exchange is one question, but who to go after is kind of question number two. Yes, Uniswap Labs, but now it becomes a question of where does authority lie? Let's say, for example, let's say Uniswap Labs as an entity decides, we want to change things up a little bit. Theoretically speaking, I think they'd get it done, but I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, would that be the key factor in changing things? Let's, for example, I start up Dusty's Labs, right? Let's say Dusty Labs. I hold 1 vote, but I'm the one who makes it, right? And the rest of you guys hold the other 99 votes out of 100. I now get the lawsuit because I'm the one who made it. But since we have 100 different votes, I can't do anything to change whatever's happening here. I can be like, well, guys, let's pull out the plug, but nobody's gonna do that. Well, maybe because you have a lot of authority, that perhaps might add to it, but you understand the point of it becomes a pretty difficult question. Anyway, we're confident that our products are on the right side of the law and that our work is on the right side of history. While our legal team takes on this fight, we'll continue to do what we do best, build. Now, straight off, by reading this, one thing that kind of brings up to mind here is what would happen now that the SEC has started to go after Uniswap? Will they go after many others? And more importantly, will they really start going after Ethereum? I think a lot of the Ripple theorists here who've talked about ETHgate for a long time are now also thinking, interesting. And I kind of wonder how the general crypto space is going to react to, a full-on board of lawsuits. I actually talk about this wave of lawsuits in the video that's coming out later after this one. Because again, I already recorded it. I just, did not get the chance to publish because I was like, this is breaking news. The other is more a theory and it can wait. Once more, another point you might propose here is, well, because of this lawsuit, the price has gone down very, very much so. Does that help investors at the end of the day? 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗓 said today's Wells notice against Uniswap is disappointing, but it's not unexpected. It's another abuse of power, unsurprising from an SEC that last month, a federal judge ruled committed a gross abuse of power by lying in court about a crypto project. I've covered it on the channel. The SEC was slapped in the face. In Ripple, a judge ruled didn't act out of a faithful allegiance to the law. In Grayscale, 3 judges ruled broke the law in denying a Bitcoin ETF, having no reasonable and coherent explanation. In our case with Uniswap, the SEC's arguments are particularly weak. The SEC has authority only over securities, not any asset represented by a particular file format or technical standard. Most tokens are clearly not securities, nor generally are secondary market transactions, as per Ripple opinion. It's only a few more here. The Uniswap protocol, web app, and wallet do not meet the legal definitions of securities exchange or broker. And just weeks ago, the judge in the SEC v. Coinbase dismissed the claim that crypto wallets were brokers, even if the token at issuance were securities. A court in Rinsley had ruled out the Uniswap protocol is mainly used for lawful purposes. Well, 99% or whatever. And the SEC's current exchange rule doesn't cover it. So the SEC proposed a new rule, but we've explained why that would fail. If the SEC had authority over our self-custodial, non-intermediated products, it could tell us how to register them. And it can't, so it doesn't. This brings you back to the Coinbase case of the Coinbase, had a lawsuit with the SEC because the SEC had a complaint about staking, about some other parts. Coinbase sued them for saying, hey, make rules so then we don't have to go through all this debacle. And kind of Uniswap is a good point here of, if things were clear and it was all so well and arranged, well, the SEC would have told us what to do, but the fact that they're not states that, something is a little bit wrong here. It has provided no clarity and no guidance, as several SEC commissioners have stated in multiple dissents. Uniswap protocol products comply with U.S. law, and we welcome sensible regulations for crypto and clear rule of law that we expect in the U.S. not arbitrary enforcement and continued abuse of power. Uniswap Labs are prepared to fight against this abuse, and we're confident we'll win. So my only point of criticism is, damn, that's gonna be a hard fight, all right? I gotta give it as a point right here. It is very hard. If I'm, let's say I'm 85, let's say I'm the average judge, 70 years old, hearing of this, hearing of a online exchange of money where you don't know who sent it to who, where they can transact anything. On the one hand, I'm thinking, well, if we're talking about small values, it's like a marketplace of sorts. And that's not by definition illegal in that sense, because you could sell something in your backyard and it'll be fine if somebody buys it and you don't know who they are. But obviously there's a little line when it's massive payments, sometimes being hundreds of millions of dollars, and in this case here, $2 trillion since its inception. It's a lot of money. And I can understand from the judge's perception that, or from whoever's perception, it's pretty money laundering or fraud sensitive. And from that perspective, perhaps through, yeah, but that's where I guess kind of gets difficult, because I wanted to say perhaps through phishing and whatnot, people lose their money, because otherwise, where's the risk to investors though? Like if we're talking about protecting them, are we protecting them from buying tokens that are stupid? Isn't that inherently the freedom that anyone should have? We're not protecting people from going into a casino. We're not protecting people from buying stupid things. Man, if you look into my, I bought a lot of stupid things and there was nobody, no little like angel on my shoulder to tell me not to do it. So why now all of a sudden, right? Why when it comes to people having crazy opportunities to finally change their lives around? Because we gotta admit, I think, you might say, oh, but people get scammed here on Uniswap. The majority of people finally have some freedom in their lives to do as they please without all these restrictions. And I think that's the vast majority. Nobody can tell me the majority of Uniswap transactions is scams or bad actors. It's just not true. Anyway, I just want to quickly bring this to y'all's attention, and I want to kind of get it uploaded as soon as possible, so at least you've got some notice as to what the frick is going on, why is this all happening, and the fact that another interesting battle is in front of us. I cannot tell you what the results of this are going to be, because obviously it's pretty fresh, and there are some comments on it that I thought were quite interesting. The COO of Uniswap said, Uniswap is an upgrade to the financial system, whether the SEC recognizes it or not. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2011, started BlackRock's crypto efforts in 2015, and I left TradFi in 2021 to go all in on DeFi as COO of Uniswap Labs. I did that because I believe on-chain markets will be better markets. The tech can be complex, but the values are simple. Traditional markets rely on who you know. In DeFi, access is equal. $2 trillion of volume, no hacks, 16 million wallets, self-serve markets on blockchains are a technical reality, and they aren't going away. It's a better system, and we're going to fight to protect it. Yeah, and the only thing I'll kind of leave this message off with is, it's sad to say, but who's next on the chopping block, right? Because you bet your ass it's not just one. I already warned you guys about it when it came to Ripple, that this would just be the start. It's not, an end fight. You can't. All these guys are fighting for the freedom of crypto, though, ultimately. And I guess Uniswap is one of the better ones to defend themselves, so that is nice. But it's going to be a long battle. And I'll be here to cover it for you guys on the channel. But obviously, we'll mostly just still talk about which cryptos we think will do well and print crazy billions of dollars. So if you enjoyed those type of pieces of content, you might want to stick around as well.